other jurisdictions within the province, Halton, York, London, the OPP have adopted a test of being fit for duty, and we think that that is the standard that should be applied. But because the chief has put in this 28-day prohibition of having marijuana in your system, there are circumstances where officers, while they're working, will be exposed to secondhand smoke, and then that marijuana could get into their system. So we are going to be putting out a message to our members in the next 24 hours, circumstances where you may have been exposed to secondhand smoke, where that will come into conflict with that policy, and that they should be putting in an injured on duty form and going off for the 28 days.
So if a member is exposed to secondhand marijuana smoke and is somewhat of a confined space, they need to be putting in an injured on duty report.
Exactly, and we've retained a subject matter expert to look at that and detail some circumstances where if an officer is exposed to that secondhand smoke, where it could be in their system. Because of this 28-day policy, they will have to go off.
What are some of the circumstances that the person that you guys have commissioned to look at this has highlighted?
Again, like when you're in a confined area, the amount of smoke that's in that area, the amount of time exposure, and in particular when we have undercover officers doing work as well, whether they're in a vehicle or something, or where they're in a confined space, an apartment somewhere where somebody is using a lot of marijuana, they could be subject to having that secondhand smoke, being exposed to that, and it being in their system. But given the policy that we have, this 28-day, that's why this is really not a really sound policy.
What would be reasonable for you and your members?
Exactly what the other services have done in Ontario, have a fit for duty test, which is a very rigorous test. You cannot be impaired by alcohol, you cannot be impaired by drugs, fatigue, you cannot be impaired in any way to perform your duties, and that's the same test. To say that you shouldn't have marijuana in your system for 28 days, there's no science that really supports that position, and we don't see the grounds for that position. And again, it sets up a domino effect where now we're going to have officers who are exposed to secondhand smoke, and it creates all these other issues. We think it should be a fit for duty test, and that's it, period.